I'm back with a different hat to talk about Tyler for what I hope is the last time that I have to talk about Tyler. And I genuinely mean that because I don't ever want to talk about him again. Unless it's talking about the fact that Tyler is paying his child support, I don't ever want to talk about Tyler again. I would be okay if I don't talk about Tyler, Ashley, any of the situation. Now, before, if you didn't catch my earlier recap, I went over Ashley's Instagram post. She posted a public service announcement to anybody with an opinion of her and Tyler's relationship, as well as a public service announcement for general Love is Blind viewers. So I did a brief recap of that. It's about 15 minutes long. Now I'm going to dive into Jessie and Rikki's live that they did with LaTerra Whitfield, the interviewer of Tyler's most recent and only podcast, which makes things easy for us as people who don't want to watch much of Tyler. So I'm going to pull that up. I went ahead and marked what I feel like is a couple of timestamps that feel important sticking out in the episode to me. I'll play them for you and we can draw our conclusions together. So first of all, shout out to Jessie and Rikkii for getting this interview. They have been the leading ladies of Love is Blind the entire season, as I've been saying, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to conduct the interview as well as they did. Hi, oh my gosh, hi, Bird. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in all season. I can't wait to watch Jessie and Rikki's live. Let's open it up. Okay. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to explain why I'm starting here after.
People have already did a ton of content about them. It wouldn't make any, if I set up the heart posture to get him to sit on this couch and then I'm attacking him, that interview would have been 5 minutes. And so, because the guy ain't gonna let you just attack him like that. So he'll be like, man, forget it, bro. Like, we're going to end up going to blows or something. We're going to end up fighting. So you can't do that. You got to let somebody have their time, say whatever they want to say, and then y'all can go back and piecemeal it together, say that was a lie, that's a lie. And what I kept doing, which I'm glad you were able to see, is that I kept asking the question 2 or 3 different ways to get him to give 3 or different responses. And then I don't have.
So there's a couple of things about this. Now, first of all, LaTerra absolutely did try to ask Tyler a number of different ways to answer the same question. Tyler tiptoed around those answers. I'm not sure if it would have really mattered how things were questioned, but I thought it was interesting that the interviewer already knew before going in. There seems to be this like acknowledgement that when talking to men, you have to, I can't think of a better word than coddle. You have to coddle them the entire time because if you hold a man accountable, then the interview could be immediately hostile. I also think that this can be a disadvantage if you're trying to have a space for truth, which is what LaTerra's prefaced his interview with. He was hoping that Tyler would buy into being truthful, being honest, sharing his heart. It's hard to expect somebody to do that if you're not going to push them consistently to share that with you. So I wanted to start with that. Let's move on to the next clip.
Have you seen anything like this at the drugstore?
Okay, while we wait for the ad. So the next part I want to play is how Tyler spins the truth to viewers.
And go, that was a lie, that was a lie. I'm going to handle myself accordingly. And I'm not going to entertain a guy like that where they circle around the truth and spin the block on lies and all that. You have to take the onus on yourselves and say, I'm not going to entertain those guys. But I created the platform for him to share however you want to share it. And then y'all take away whatever y'all will.
Now, I thought this was interesting as well, because like I said, it was started off the interview with the acknowledgement that truth would like to be addressed. Now, some would say that you can bring the camel to water, but you can't make it drink. So I can almost understand the idea that would Tyler tell the truth to LaTerra as the interviewer if he's not allegedly telling the truth in court? Probably not. But leaving things up to viewers, number one, is just never a good idea, which Jessie and Rikkii point out to him right after this. Number two, I was questioning if while watching this, anybody else had the impression that this was sort of directed directly to Ashley. Lateris mentioned that this interview was going to be sent to Ashley so that she can't make amendments to the episode itself, but so she can at least know what to prepare herself for. And I don't know if he's trying to talk directly to Ashley and say, you're seeing how he spins things. You're seeing how he walks around conversations. Take notice of this. But that to me felt like he was sort of trying to point that out for Ashley's benefit. I see here in the chat, it says, I understand Lateris' approach, but the only problem is that Tyler wasn't his only audience. This is a podcast with a public viewership, and Lateris left the impression of condoning Tyler's lies. And it's almost like I don't expect him to sit there and be able to presently have everything in the moment. I do understand that creating a hostile environment. But if he started off the interview and within 5 minutes there was no truth, I think that you could shut down the interview then. It's almost better, quality over quantity. It's almost better to have 5 minutes of an interview where your guest walks out and then you can publish that versus let them sit there and spin on you for 2 hours. So the next part we're going to stop to is Tyler trying to conceal his kids. Oh no. Yeah.
Opinion. When it comes to, now, one of the things that I do regret that I didn't ask is to keep on asking, did you conceive these kids naturally? And that's the twins. When I look back at that, because I'm watching him and I say, I want to jump in on this because he keeps, but I'm used to people talking like that. They'll just keep deflecting to where you forget what the original question was. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, you just brought up all these other stuff. You brought up her. That's not the question.
It's so interesting that he was able to acknowledge that in the moment. And I wish that he had just said that outright to Tyler. I can't even keep up with you with where you're going.
Question. And then a lot of times I come back around and be like, now, and I'll ask that question again. In that situation, I was like, he's not going to answer that. Why? It's because I know that he's going to court about it. If he could literally say that this kid is by natural means, then that will mess up the court case.
And it's like, you almost wonder, number one, why did Tyler do this interview? Number two, Lateris, trust your instinct. Because I remember you saying before that when people have an open court case, you don't invite them on your podcast. I'd say that's a pretty good move because Tyler doesn't disprove your prior theory, which is that people are going to come on, articulate themselves a certain way that protects them from a court case, and not really tell the truth. As far as him not admitting that the children were conceived biologically or naturally, I genuinely can't understand Tyler's reasoning there. It has to be ego or protection of himself because logistically, there's just no possibility. He can't convince us as viewers. There's no way that he can convince a judge. So I just don't even understand what Tyler's rationale is behind that.
So that's the reason why I don't like interviewing people when they're in the midst of court cases. I get a lot of people who come on my platform that are in the middle of divorces. And I'm like, don't come on my platform. And they be like, well, I mean, we can talk about it. I said, it's never going to work. Why did I know that? I did that in 2020 with a person.
And that's like I said. And unfortunately, it wasn't any different for Tyler. Moving on. And again, I just have to commend both Jessie Woo and Storytime with Rikkii for how they go about this interview, because they very graciously tell their feelings to Lateris directly about how they felt about the interview and the things that could have been done better. So major props to them. He wants to not pay child support, so he can't admit that on any record. It's just so interesting that he doesn't want to pay child support and he now won't claim them. Yet we've heard that he's allegedly asked Bri for permission to claim these children on his taxes in a prior year. It doesn't make sense. Okay.
Prior to Contrave,
Now, Jessie and Rikkii talk about how often Tyler references Jessie and Rickii's interview during his interview with Lateris, and it's a lot. Like, for somebody who didn't watch the episode, You certainly did, sir. You certainly did, because you can recount everything. Like, you're a fan, basically. Are you subscribed? You should be.
Even in your thing, he was like, "Oh, black women, you," because he referred to me a lot. He was like, "Oh, black women, you're preaching to black women, but then you're calling my wife a bird." Yeah, your wife is condoning you abandoning children. That's a bird to me. Put her in Sesame Street. Ah! Put her in a Big Bird suit. Yes, and I will stand on that. Point blank, period. And as a black woman, when I'm watching these shows and I'm seeing that these shows are almost basically going out of their way to set black women up for failure, yes, I take that personally. Dating as a black woman is already very, very, it's a layered experience. Dating as a dark-skinned black woman, which is why when I saw Ashley, everybody who's watched my lives will tell you, or my channel, the moment I saw Ashley, I said, "Oh, we ride at dawn. We ride at dawn."
That part, to everything that she just said. First of all I can do is acknowledge Jessie's point of view, affirm and uplift that. Absolutely. And I talked about this earlier on my live. The way that Love is Blind and other reality TV shows mistreat black women and cast people that put them in danger or in mismatched relationships is abysmal. It's offensive. It's irreparable. Like, it's very annoying and frustrating to watch every season. And I'm saying that tuning in as a white woman. So let's acknowledge the fact again that it's disgusting and it's egregious for Love is Blind producers to cast Tyler. They knew what was on Tyler's record, or they knew his history and all the entanglements. They know everything. They've done so much psychological evaluations. They've dug into people's history. They've had those conversations. So they knew who Tyler was. So to be able to keep things a secret from Ashley and to still cast him and think that they would be well matched is...
She was funny. She was smart. She was intellectual. She had spunk to her. She had spark. And then to know that she was robbed of that decision, not only by Brian McLight, but also by Love is Blind, who did a background check and knew all the things that we are seeing now. To me, yes, I take that personally, because I don't take pleasure in watching black women go on television to go meet somebody, to get married and get set up for failure. Ashley right now should be on the best press tour of her life. She should. She got.
And, I wish Ashley didn't think that things were as malicious as they were. I can understand how things would seem that way, but this is not what, I'll just speak for myself. This is not what I wanted for Ashley. When I met Ashley and she came on the show, I was like, yes. When I read her bio, I was like, yes, love her. And then she's riding this hard for Tyler, a liar. Like, it's just simply that he doesn't deserve her. She deserves much better. They would never, I almost called him the same thing, Brian. Not Jessie getting in my head. Tyler should not have been cast for this show.
Yeah, from the show. I want to address this because someone said I didn't do research.
This was kind of funny because at a later point in the episode, they do call out the fact that he didn't do what they felt was an appropriate amount of research. And he does say that he listened to 30% of the interview. I don't know why he would say that, because yes, if he listened to 100% of Jessie Woo and Storytime with Rickii's interview, there's not a thing that's really left up in the air. We know that they allegedly live together in the same house. We know more than Ashley, to be honest. You are doing the Lord's work. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Rikkii and Jessie, they're doing the most work all season. Okay, let me move along. I just wanted to validate what Jessie's talking about, because I see it time and time again on every season. And I just wish Ashley could understand how frustrating it is, because I don't know Ashley, but I care about women. So I don't want her in this situation. I don't. 150. Moving on to Tyler. Okay, this was interesting too.
Are those blank books?
His next statement kind of reminds me of how men talk about a lot of men.
Somehow expect them to tell the truth. It's like it's a false expectation. If you know that he's going to lie every time you ask the question, lower your expectation. That's how I treat people.
He's right. Okay, my face matched Jesse's when I heard this live. Because what do you mean lower your expectations? Why is it always lower your expectations? Why is it always, and even in other scenarios, people blame the kind-hearted person versus someone who takes advantage of someone, and they're like, oh, like you wore rose-colored glasses, or you should have known better, or you should have seen these signs. Where is the criticism for the person who is doing the harm? Where is the criticism for the person who's taking advantage of somebody who is either in denial, overextending, people pleasing, prioritizing them? Why is it that person is demonized?
People in my life, I don't expect people to tell the truth if I know that they lie. It will drive me to sit there and be like, tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth, and they just keep lying.
The only reason why I would disagree with this instance is just because so much evidence came forward.
And did he still tell the truth?
But that's what I'm saying. It's like,
that's my point.
Now that's one thing. I don't think he would have told the truth to Lateris regardless. If he's gonna allegedly try to lie in court and try to convince a judge that they were able to save a 40-day-old, 40-month-old, however long vial, then he's not going to tell the truth to him. And you can absolutely hold someone accountable without it being an attack. Absolutely.
I get your point. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like,
yes,
okay,
you hoped for the best.
Being direct with someone is not attacking someone. I feel like that's like this internalizing that the other person who feels attacked because it's the first time that they've been held accountable. I feel like that's what's happening. I feel like that's what happens when someone says that they've been attacked.
And thought after seeing all this evidence, he would own up to it.
Yeah.
And how did that work? How did that work for all of us included?
I know Jesse's just waiting for Rikkii to get back on during this moment. Okay, let me go back down because there's a running theme here that I'm kind of getting to.
For your daughter that you care about her. I'm telling you. So when I'm doing this stuff now, I understand how to talk to men. You don't talk to men like, well, you lie. You just say, listen, I'm a lead by example. I'm gonna tell you what you need to do. Respect.
This is where we get to again with the coddling men. To have to know how to talk to men specifically. So number one, I need to stroke a man's ego. Number two, I need to basically lie to him. Number three, I need to diminish my own intelligence to try to meet someone in the middle of their outrageousness and outlandishness. It's just this constant request for women to be empathetic and for women to give more and more in order to make men feel comfortable, regardless of if it makes a woman feel comfortable.
And you have no idea the kind of conversation I've had with Tyler after the camera stopped. I was like, say, brother, like, this is what this is. You need to figure out what you need to do so that you can be in these kids' life. I can't tell you what to do legally. I don't know all that. I stay in.
Now, let me say, I'm glad they had conversations off camera of that effect. I'm also glad that Lateris later in this interview, which I showed a separate clip of when I talked about it with the initial interview with Rikkii, I'm grateful that Lateris said, there's nothing that could keep me from taking care of my children. There's something going on here, a deeper trauma, something to get through in therapy that would allow you to disconnect from your children, Tyler. I'm glad that Lateris said that as well.
My lane. But what I do know, these kids deserve a father. And
as someone who's grown up in religion my entire life, I can tell you, though, that there's this sense of, in men's devotionals and in pastoral counseling through the church, there is sometimes this sense of coddling men. There is sometimes this sense of that.
I said that in the interview. I said, these kids know that these women didn't produce them. So I say stuff like that to be like, you're the father figure. So
And make that make sense, Tyler. So he's alleging that they took all the trouble to save his sperm, keep it in a vial, freeze it, keep it viable, then used it, to which bride got pregnant, then decided that she was going to terminate the pregnancy, went to an appointment for that, then decided against it for something that they had worked so hard and measures they had taken that were not easy to take. And Tyler. Now Tyler. No. Next point. I feel like I'm giving a presentation. I literally feel like I'm a teacher right now. I really like this response right here. So Rikkii goes into, I love how this is just showing this ad, sorry. Rikkii goes into why she thinks that Tyler was able to wiggle his way around this interview.
Somebody accountable at the same time. I don't feel like Tyler was held accountable because he was able to wiggle himself.
And when you say wiggle, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
I'm sorry?
When you say he was able to wiggle himself out, what do you mean by that?
He was able to tiptoe and hop around a lot of truths in your interview because you were not aware of the full context. I think you yourself admitted that you only watched about 30%, but I think had you watched 100%, you would have been better prepared for the interview, and there would have been some your ears would have perked up with certain things that he said that said, hey.
Listen, this is how much I look up to Jessie and Rikkii. I wrote this down. I want to be able to tell someone exactly what I think like that, and in such a kind and gracious way. I people please to the max. I hate that about myself. I love how she just said that and was so honest, but also gracious.
What he said, though, he said a lot of stuff my ears perked up at, but I still wouldn't respond like that. See, that's what I'm saying.
No, I think what she's saying is not that we're looking for you to attack. Like for instance, right? The twins. You didn't know that he signed the twins' birth certificate.
I did know that. I just forgot to say it in the interview. I did know that because I watched that in what y'all said.
Why, when he was talking about the twins, why wouldn't you bring that up?
Because he started saying all this other stuff. I was trying to get him to at least say.
See how confused Tyler makes people? This is what I said. People need to have some genuine concern for Ashley. Tyler can literally disorient a person to the point where they don't even know what they were trying to ask.
If he didn't say, I conceived these kids, that don't matter that he signed it. That's what y'all don't understand. So what I did do, I went and Googled Maryland law right before all that morning of. It doesn't matter if he is saying straight up, these kids, because he even said the first kid, it was a donor situation, but he went back and started trying to quote unquote fight for the custody so that Bride didn't lose the child to Daeshon.
Now, basically what happens in these next incoming 30 minutes is Lateris tries to provide reasons for why he didn't hold Tyler accountable, whether it's that his platform is not for that. It's not a gotcha moment. It's to just let people talk. He tries to explain that he went into it with the best intentions. He tries to explain that expectations should be lowered of Tyler because Tyler's not going to tell the truth anyways. He tries to explain that people have the competence and wherewithal to watch the interview and know that Tyler is lying. So that's what takes place the next 30 minutes. Now, what's important, not 30 minutes, 10 minutes, but this conversation regarding whether or not Lateris held Tyler accountable went on for a while, where he basically didn't see their side of things. The next important thing is sort of like what his impression was of the overall interview. And I felt like this was important because it's kind of echoing the earlier sentiment, which is men do believe that there's a certain way, some men, that you need to talk to them, which is what Lateris said when prepping how to talk with Tyler.
I did my live with Simone, we were like, hey, Tyler, if you want to debunk, if anything that we're saying is true, you are welcome to come on the channel. We extended that. You are welcome to come on the channel.
Why would you think somebody would actually do that?
If
Y'all
was,
attacking, I'm gonna tell you this real quick. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Y'all are attacking me, and I interviewed him.
We're not attacking you.
See, number one, why would someone go on? Well, because if you have nothing to hide, then you should be able to talk to someone who knows the full story and can't dupe you over, can't pull the wool over their eyes. That would be Jessie and Rikkii, okay? That's who that would be. The Oprah, the Wendy. Second of all, we've got to get into, and excuse me if it's inappropriate for me to say this, but we've got to get into what feels like the misogynoir of it all. Because really, you know, it kind of feels like a microaggression to imply that they were attacking him. I didn't interpret that at all. I think they've been graceful. I think they've been holding his hand while they've been saying this to him. Let me hold your hand while we say this. You were not holding him accountable. You could have done this in a more prepared way. And like I said, I think that when people are rarely held accountable, that's not something they like to hear. I also think, and this is not aimed at Lateris specifically, but I think that a lot of men in general don't like to be held accountable when it's by a woman.
We're holding you accountable for how you interviewed him.
No, that's what I'm saying.
you feel like we're attacking you?
I'm saying to a certain degree, y'all are. It's people in the comments saying you should have never had him on. I posted a picture. This is what I did. I posted a picture of me and him on my thing, and I said, "Hey, he's gonna become. Why do you have him? I'm not going. They just going in." And I'm like, so I'm just supposed to listen to every female to say, "Do not interview him."
We got the female. I want women to start calling men males. Male behavior. Look at all these males standing here. I want them to understand what it's like when they call us female. I want us to start calling men males.
Because we hate him. Or do I say
No. What women are saying is that we're tired of coddling men.
So why did you assume there was coddling before even the interview dropped?
There's only one reason why Lila will go on your
I'm sorry, I don't want to wake up my whole house. The way I didn't even catch that. There's only one reason why he would go on your interview. And we know it's not because you're about to tell him the damn truth. Jessie.
Because he was going to get coddled. Let's just be real. Like, yes, you had moments. Don't get me wrong. You had moments where you challenged what he said. You did it in your own way.
Definitely.
But it was a very coddling interview. It was a very, hey, God this, God that. And you know what, you're right. When people do a sin, a lot of people like to pull them back down. There was a lot of coddling happening. And I feel that when women get y'all are attacking, it's not that we're attacking, it's that we're tired of coddling. And then there are children. Like, it's not just that Lila is a cheater, like if it was like some cheating shit, okay. No, these are kids. We are in a climate.
And that's that. That's their interview. That's the main points with him. I still don't necessarily think that he understands their point of view. And now, on the topic of religion, there's a couple of things that I have written down here, which is, I think Ashley said something in one of her earlier stories. Actually, let me just pull it up so I have it. So I'm not misremembering this. When Ashley posted her PSA, she addressed her faith. And she said, ultimately, by showing Tyler that kind of love he's never received, it will lead him closer to Christ, which will have the biggest impact on his life and on his decision making. There's another part in this. I can't even get through it all because it's long, okay? There's another part though that basically implies that, you know, God has told her that he blesses her unity with Tyler, or God has told her to support Tyler, or she feels like she's going to be the person to bring Tyler closer to God. And Ashley, to that, I would say, I need you to recall your faith and bring up Jeremiah 29:11, because Ashley, God has plans to prosper you and not harm you. Okay? And if you in any way are being harmed right now, he is not part of the grand plan. Okay? And I don't think that you're being sent a message from God that you need to stay with Tyler. The second thing is 1 Timothy 5:8. But if a man makes no provisions for those dependent on him, especially for his own family, if he has disowned his faith and behaving worse than an unbeliever. Listen, the Bible literally says that if you don't take care of your family, that you're worse than an unbeliever. So I don't think that God would be telling you that Tyler's making a great decision right now by abandoning his children. I would think that anything that could be confused as, is this God or is this me? It could be Tyler. Then I just want to add, I think Ashley feels like, because she said this during Love is Blind, she talked about the fact that she wants to do this just once. She wants to get married just once. First of all, it's debatable if we really believe. And someone made a great point on my YouTube in the comments. Do we really even count the ritual that they do on Love is Blind and count as a marriage and all the production hands in it? Listen, Ashley, this is not the same thing, okay? You didn't know this person and pick your soulmate, okay? I don't believe that this is the same sort of unity bind. And I also just don't believe in that, because there's this like Christian logic. And I literally read this from like a devotional site earlier, and I thought, how stupid. You must renew commitment to your spouse, even if you have an unhappy marriage. No, this idea that you should just be miserable and to just embrace suffrage, that's not happening. I'm not even sure why Lateris entertained TV drama. He interviews real celebrities, and his page is inspirational. And you know, let me just say too, I believe that. 100%. I thought it was interesting that they even reached out to him to do the interview. There's no way there's no way God sent you Tyler as your reward or as your perfect match. Now let's get into Daeshon, because she posted a series of TikToks, and I'm not going to go through all of them because they're each about 9 minutes long. However, I do want to show her page so that you know where to watch them, and I'm going to give a summary. We'll watch the first minute.
Just watched the Latarius interview with Tyler, and I had a lot of notes after all the lies that this man told, especially about me. Really, that's all I really want to focus on. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Daeshon, Bry's ex-wife, and the other mother of Cairo. I don't use social media like that, so this video is probably going to be hella choppy, and I don't know, it's not going to be pretty, but we'll get to the truth. So I took notes. Number one, and I just went and took notes while I'm watching the video. So number one, he says that we asked him to be the sperm donor. That's not true. I don't know what conversations him and Bry had outside of me, but it was presented to me that Bry had two friends, Tyler and another guy that was on her basketball team, that offered to donate sperm to us. It wasn't that we could not afford to go to a sperm bank. I did not want him to be our donor. That is 100% the truth.
So number one, disproved. Tyler, your receipt that he had of Daeshon texting him thank you. Of course she texted you thank you. You helped bring a life into their world. In no realm is that indicative of her wanting you to be involved in this. I also just want to preface with a trigger warning for DV as we continue on. I feel I believe Daeshon.
But Bry wanted Tyler to be the sperm donor. It was her first baby. I'm in an abusive relationship. I let her go with how she wanted to go. I just followed her lead. Tyler also said that it's a lie that I didn't want him to be the donor, and that he has text messages of us thanking him. I do not remember thanking that man, but I could see how we would thank him for giving us life. Like Lataria said, we can't produce a baby on our own. So, yes, I'm going to be thankful that I'm having a baby, or that what we set out to do is happening. But I never wanted him to be the sperm donor because, like I said in my interview with Rikkii and Jessie, I always had suspicions that they were messing around. So why
Tyler was like a parasite in this woman's life. You know what I mean? Like to imply that she wanted you around is just
would I want you to be further connected to my family? Also, he says that he doesn't recall bringing his ex-fiance to a baby shower. It wasn't a baby shower, it was the gender reveal. And Rikkii posted pictures of his fiance's Facebook post where she says she was brought to a gender reveal by him. And he said he never came to a baby shower. He was absolutely at our Maryland baby shower. We had to
look at he came to the gender reveal and the baby shower. He came to both. She could have like Tyler, you've been to both. You don't even need to take the time to try to explain which one you did or didn't go to. You've been to them all. You've been to the birthday parties, the gender reveal. You've been to everything.
He wasn't at the one in Louisiana, but he was at the one in Maryland. I cannot confirm or deny if his fiance cheated on him. I was not a part of their relationship, but from what I know about her, I don't see that being the truth.
And neither do I. I don't think that was relevant at all. Objection relevance to everything Tyler said during his interview about anybody else but himself. There should have been a bucket where he has to throw in $1 every time he tries to bring up a name but himself.
I do know that he cheated on her, though. I know that for a fact. And I know that because, like he said, Bry was one of the guys. And he would come to our house, he would drink, they would tell us everything. And if he wasn't telling me in particular, he's telling my wife, who's going to tell me. We were like attached at the hip. And then he says that he didn't donate sperm until the end of their relationship. It's my understanding that he did not tell his ex-fiance that he donated until he stepped up as Cairo's dad figure. That's when he had to tell her. They were not done.
Notice that? He had to tell her. I knew it would never be Tyler would never make the decision to just tell her, first of all. Second of all, what she's about to get into. Make it make sense. Okay, so in your mind, you told her at the end of your relationship that you had donated, and yet she still ends up at the gender reveal and the baby shower. Okay, so you guys stayed together it wasn't at the end of the relationship. How long is the end? He should have had to give a timeline for that.
And if they were done, why did he bring her to the gender reveal? We found out the sex of our baby about 6 weeks. Well, not at 6 weeks. It was like between 6 and 8 weeks because we did the chromosome DNA, not the DNA test, the chromosome blood test. And they called us and told us the gender. It was super early in the pregnancy, but they were still together. Okay, so I do agree with some of the things he said in the video, not much, but one of the things is we did not hash out exactly what the plan was. He definitely was supposed to be an uncle. He was going to have no say-so in the baby's life. He was already uncle tied to my daughter. All of that is true. But he goes on to say that he came to the hospital and we were so happy and he was so happy for us, but then says, I just up and abandoned my wife. If we were so happy, and I'm talking fast because I'm trying to not have multiple parts, but if we were so happy, why would I up and leave for another man 2 weeks later? Everything, your story just does not add up. If we were so happy.
Everything he says does not add up. Let's go on to this.
But like I've said before, Bri filed for full custody first. This is after she blocked me on everything. When I left to California, we were co-parenting across state lines. He's flying back and forth. The baby is flying back and forth between California and Maryland. He says he wanted to step up because she needed help. That's fine. You want to help her in Maryland, but he makes it sound like I left and I was doing nothing.
The way that, and I correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but the way that Tyler and also I think Bri tried to make it seem like Daeshon just up and left And that's not the case at all.
He says how he's not able to discipline them. He made no decisions. I was doing all that over the phone, FaceTiming him every day. And when
In what realm would the uncle be making those decisions? In what realm? Why did Tyler, if there was no sort of relationship, if there was nothing more going on with Tyler and Bri, why would he feel entitled to that?
she would have issues at work, where I remember a time Cairo kept getting sick at daycare. Me and my daughter flew back to Maryland, and I stayed at her house and took care of my son so that she could go to work. There was never a situation where she just was so struggling so much and just needed so much help. If
Tyler presents himself, he calls himself Superman during this interview multiple times that he did. He presents himself like this knight in shining armor, like he just showed up to save the day, like everybody was just needing him, and like, what would we have done without Tyler stepping in? You inserted yourself in that situation.
if that was the case, why didn't you ask your wife and co-parent to help you with the child? He also is talking about the fact that I um he acknowledges the fact that he knew that she was abusing me, right? Thank you for doing that. Because I definitely have not been lying about anything I said. But you go help your abusive friend take custody from me. Make that make sense.
Really make that make sense. Really make that make sense. Because in one breath, you're first Tyler, to even bring that up so carelessly, not your trauma, was offensive. That's offensive.
Because I definitely have not been lying about anything I said. But you go help your
Okay, I had to remember. But then after that, to help Bri, that you know this is going on, team up and exclude Daeshon is insane. And then he tried to use it and shame Daeshon for returning.
abusive friend take custody from me. Make that make sense. Then he talks about how I backed off because she had all this support. That's 100% fact. I'm in California, our court case is in Maryland. The whole friend group is rallying behind Bri, and they are prepared to lie in court and say she wasn't abusing me, and that I was not taking care of my son, and that Tyler has been there the whole time. So she's instead of us, she skipped mediation and she wanted to go straight to trial.
This is sick. Like the amount of trauma that she's suffered is sick. It's very sick.
I could not mentally handle to keep doing all that, especially when I had nobody to back up my claims. All my family's in California. Nobody was going to fly out there and defend me. So I backed off. And I just want to be clear that at no time, he keeps painting the picture that I abandoned him, but at no time was that the case. I even offered to move back to Maryland, but Bryce said if I moved back to Maryland, that she would ask to get transferred to another duty station. I was not about to run around America chasing her. I would have been getting dragged through court just like he is now. Um, Let me see what else my note. And I
Like it's bad enough that she was going through that in her own relationship with Bri, and then you add Tyler and all of the layers that he brings into the relationship and how he's willing to team up with Bri against Daeshon. Like I said, it's sick.
even reached out to her chain of command in the military, telling them that she was not allowing me to see my child and that was against the law. She told her boss, I don't care what you do. If you try to force me to let her see my son, I'm not going to do it. So if you want to kick me out the military, kick me out because I'm not going to do it. This is the type of menace that I was dealing with. Okay. As far as Bry's mom, yes, she is a thug.
Okay, so this part she talks about Bri's mom. Which is pretty much validating that Bri's mom is homophobic.
And said that I wanted to have more kids with her. And we used vials that we saved from Cairo to have the twins. Number one, Bright mostly dates women. She would not go on here and lie and say that she had sex with a man. That makes no sense.
Exactly. So Tyler, the logic even failed at that point.
Number two, he mentions the device that we used and how there was like a cup and all this stuff. He would come to our house, use the bathroom downstairs, do his business, give us the cup. As soon as he would leave, we would go put it inside of her. There was no saving. It's literally a cup. It's called Stork OTC, I think is the website. I just
Meanwhile, Tyler tries to say that they saved it. He tries to make it sound like they're obsessed with him low key.
okay. I think
I'm gonna try to go through the parts on this one. So she moves back to California
did
in
move back to
September.
California in September, but by December or January, I'm back in Maryland. Packed up my apartment, everything, and moved back to into the apartment with her. She never tells me Tyler has moved. She said in her interview that Tyler had moved some of his clothes into the guest bedroom because he was there helping her. I wasn't aware of any of that. I was not a part of any conversation with him saying that I was back and that he needed to exit Cairo's life. But when I was back, I was only back for a week, maybe 2 weeks, because Bry attacked me, physically assaulted me in a grocery store, in the Food Lion in Laurel, Maryland, in front of my daughter and two of her friends who were visiting. Within a day or two of that, of course, I'm realizing she's never going to change. So I go back home, and that was the last time that we tried to make our relationship work. Um, so the twins were not, we never talked about expanding our family when I came back for that short amount of time. We had a newborn, and my daughter was maybe two or three. I think she was 2 or 3, something like that. We didn't need more kids. That was never a conversation. Bri already admitted the twins were conceived naturally. I believe the only reason why he doesn't want to say that is because of his court case. He's trying to separate himself from parentage with
And that's what he tried to do the entire time, even from the very beginning. It was obvious that Tyler's trying to add a layer of separation and distance himself from this entire situation, as if he just fell into it.
any of the kids. So
Now she talks about how there's no way that they could have saved some of his sperm. You need a specific. You need to literally. You need to have a lab. That's not possible. That's not possible. People who are in fertility and specialize in it were in the comments explaining how you store samples. It's not like that. As far as him not being there, Bry released the video of him at the ultrasound, and then
records and in the nurse's notes saw baby came to appointment with mother and father. That's how I started to realize how active he was in Kyra's life. Now, I think it's easier for some people to try to believe Tyler because he sprinkles in some truths with his lies. As far as Bri being in relationships back
that's true. Okay.
he talks about some girl naming the twins. I don't know anything about that. Bride told me during that phone call when, after the divorce was final, when she called me, she told me that the twins were named after my daughter. I already knew that though because their names are Kamari and Callie. Um, Callie is because we're from California. My daughter is named after Kamora Lee Simmons, and her nickname was Kimmy, and she wanted
Which is so cute, by the way.
to call her daughter Cammy, and they found a name that fit that nickname. So Kamari, just like Kamor, and Kimmy and Cammy. Um, I said my daughter's named after Kamari Lee Simmons. Tyler's middle name just so happens to be Lee, but Kamari Lee, Kamora Lee. You get where we're going with this. And then my daughter's full name is Kamora Layla Marie. The I'm almost positive is Callie Marie. But either way, Bride told me herself that she named her twins after my daughter, even though she abandoned her, and she said that that was her way to keep a piece of my daughter forever or some.
I mean, like this was like hard to listen to and hard to get through. It's heavy stuff and a lot to process.
Actually wasn't his type, which I don't care about. But Bri released the email between them where Tyler is like, I'm gonna tell Diane everything, her current fiance. And she goes, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. But clearly their entanglement did not end with me. Okay.
That's important.
And the freak offs 100% happened. I have no reason.
Because why is Tyler really Tyler? That's playing with fire. You're going to threaten to tell Diane. Were you with Ashley? Like, what's the
To
timeline?
make that up. And it was, I never met somebody who participated in nothing like that. So a lot of my friends had heard these stories as well years ago. Um, the friend whose wife they were having the freak offs with, his name is Blunt. He was married to a girl named Vanessa. They had two kids together. And when he was done letting his friends run through her, he started messing with a black girl who they started running through as well. Um, there was another friend, Jan, who participated in it. Like, I don't have to lie, so I have all of the details. And he said, why would I know this information? Because she was one of the guys. Y'all would come and tell us or tell her and brag. And of course, my wife is going to tell me. And then it really became big when y'all were under investigation when Blunt's wife, Vanessa, said it was non consensual.
So the freak offs, those happened allegedly. Like, I'll add that, but those.
Um, and he says, like, why would he tell me that my wife participated in a threesome and was in a corner masturbating? Because I pulled you to the side, like I said multiple times, and asked, what is going on? Tell me, did you have sex with her to have this baby? And he was like, no, but I will say that she did participate in this. But I felt like he told me to try to build rapport so that I would say, okay, well, he told me this thing, so I can believe that he didn't sleep with her, but you did sleep with her. Ran out of
You
time.
see how she had a feeling the entire time that something was going on between the two of them? That's important too.
Okay.
Now, the last one's a little bit shorter. She talks about how every time she had to send something to Rikkii, she sent in receipts. So, as far as him saying that she's lying on him, all of her proof had been verified. She said, don't tell lies about me. I won't tell the truth about you. Oh, yeah.
Ask me the hard questions like, why did I leave and why did I come back? Why did I leave, Tyler? Because you screwed my wife. That's why I left. So after years of abuse, last straw, babe. Last straw. You slept with a man. You told me you were a lesbian. I'm out. That's why I left. I left because you tore up my marriage and your engagement all in one stride. Now, what killed me the most was him saying, well, not the most, but him saying that people say they support Black love and Black men and women, but the Black people are the ones that are tearing him down in the comments, him and his wife down in the comments. But a big part of uplifting Black people is holding them accountable. And that's what he's not ready to be held accountable for his actions. But we're going to do it every time. Look on is
Get
this
him.
girl.
Oh, she even calls out Bry's current fiance, which is kind of funny. Oh, this was interesting.
Somebody did an investigation or looked into Maryland court records and saw that the current fiance just got divorced. So it makes sense to me why she would not be claiming her on social media or anything like that because it's still adultery and she's still in the military.
So as far as Tyler claiming that Bry did scrub the social pictures of the fiance, 2% truth. Someone said. There we go. Maybe.
Um, so had the girl's husband came forward, Bry would have had another Article 15 for adultery again. But he talks about them playing house with his kids, right? Of course, he didn't call them his kids, but playing house with the kids. But y'all want me to fund it. But you played house with my son. That's how you got here, playing house with my wife.
I'm so glad she got to say this. I'm so glad she got to say this. I'm not happy she had to be dragged through this horrible situation. I'm not happy that she dealt with Tyler or Bri. I'm happy that, you know, she got the blessings that she got out of it, but I'm happy she got to speak her truth right now.
I don't feel bad for you, babe.
I don't feel bad
And
either.
lastly, he doesn't mention the fact that he was living with Bri. He doesn't never mentions that. Y'all had a whole relationship, whether regardless of if either of y'all want to claim that or not, but both of y'all are scorned and bitter about the situation.
And I'm going to be real. That's what it is. Tyler wants to protect himself for the court case, but Tyler doesn't want to admit that he was rejected. Ego. And I've thought this and not said it since the beginning because I didn't want to overstep. I didn't want to say anything. I had a TikTok saved in my drafts from the beginning that I thought that was what was going on.
Um, oh, and two, I wanted to talk about with in Bri's interview with Rikkii and Jessie. She says that she didn't know if Tyler's fiance knew or not. That's a blatant lie. She knew for a fact that Tyler was not going to tell his fiance. When we started talking about donating and things like that, that was part of the conversation. He said that he wasn't going to tell her because nobody was ever supposed to know that he was the dad, anyways. So she knows for a fact that he didn't tell her until after I left Maryland. So this is after the baby was born. He had months to tell her. He did not.
Not until after the baby is born is crazy.
Um, And while we're on Bri, in her interview, she
Hmm.
says that Tyler abandoned the kids another time um, for a year, and she found out that he was in love with another woman or he was in love with someone else. It's funny to me the way you put that, like you were a little jealous, right? I don't know. I'm showing my petty side, and I'm not supposed to be doing that right now, but I'm upset. I can't lie. For everybody that's reached out to me and said I didn't deserve any of this, and
You don't.
um, they are sorry that I don't have my son and all that. Like, of course, there's anger there. Of course, there's hurt feelings there. I don't even date women anymore because of this situation. She ruined
Mm.
it for all of y'all. I know people been DMing and things like that, but I don't do women at all.
Bri, listen, that is a damn shame. But whatever, Daeshon needs to move and heal through this.
But
But
yeah,
Daeshon is
this
gorgeous.
situation has been extremely triggering to have to relive all of this and not only relive it, but have to defend everything that I've done in the past when it was things that were done to me. Um, and also to have to see people sympathize with your abuser, yeah, that's hard. Um, Especially when her life is in shambles because of the choices that she made and because she chose to have a family with Tyler instead of the person that she was married to. So I don't feel bad for nobody but the kids.
That's how I'm going to end this. I don't feel bad for anybody but the kids. I believe Daeshon. I'm extending Daeshon sympathy, empathy, healing, space, time. If she needs to post 20 more TikToks and roast them, I'll be here to send her a like her way. The whole situation is feral, and Tyler, this is all because of you. All because of you. Bri played her part, but Tyler got up on national television and made this people brought this to a public platform. Just insane. So everybody, thank you everybody who's been tuning in to all this chaos with me. It's been hard to get through. It's been heavy. My heart hurts. I can't believe that we just passed Domestic Violence Month in October, and there was just such little sensitivity and awareness for like the reality and depths of this situation. Like, it's just a lot. And Netflix, you're foul. You're absolutely foul. Okay, because they knew this would be a thing. They read Tyler's backstory, said, that's the one. That's the one. That's going to be a mess. That's going to be messy. They talked to his friends and said, cast him. Like I said, I hope I never have to talk about Tyler again unless it's talking about him paying child support. I hope everybody has a great night. Follow Daeshon and send her some love. This is just a lot to process. I hope everybody has a good night. Thank you for hanging out with me and for going through all the things. Also, make sure that you follow me on TikTok. Make sure that you go over and comment on Jessie and Rikki's lives and on their videos. They did an amazing job, as they always do. Nicolette, thank you for chatting to me. Have a great night, everyone.